Coming up on Dub Zone, Super Sub saved the day for the Mariners against Canberra. City's Mariana Speckmeyer adds to the Wanderers' woes. And we're going to be joined by a couple of special guests in Grace Maher and Erin Healy. Stick around. Hello and welcome to Dub Zone. I'm Amy Duggan. Great to be joined today on the panel by Sydney FC legend Teresa Polias and A-League's commentator Pellizzeri. Great to have you both here as we chat about a couple of cracking games. Of course, only 2 games this split round due to the international break, and it was Canberra United that travelled to take on the Mariners. And let's kick it off with this great strike by Maher. What did we make of this?
Yeah, I mean, an absolute bomb. She had a great game and was rewarded for it. It's a long-range effort there, and I did feel Canberra really deserved the goal after dominating most of the game.
Personally, for Maher, fantastic. We sung her praises after round 1 when she scored a double. Consistency was going to be key, and as you can see there, she's having fun, loving her football. 18 Keno, good mate there with the goal celebration that they'd pre-prepared. And one of the things about pre-preparing those celebrations is you've got to go and score the goals. And
well, she did it. She delivered, so that was a great goal.
Well, she has been delivering this season more than before. 2-1 the final scoreline to the Central Coast. It was Canberra, obviously, that got on the board early and looked like they were going to go on with it, creating lots of chances, but that's not how it ended up.
Yeah, Canberra looked the goods in this game. They came out firing, and then that first Mariners goal really took the wind out of them, and the super subs came on and won the game for the Mariners.
And this goal here, Shadeene Evans playing it through to Jade Pennock and then following up onto her own work. But that equaliser from Tiana Fuller, 5 minutes after making her debut as a 16-year-old T, totally undaunted. Husband does it again, would have watched the National Youth Championships and found her and found a natural goal scorer. And then Shadeene Evans breaks a 5-year drought, almost 6 years since she last scored her one and only goal. Now she's got 2, and I think you see the confidence flowing through her.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, the subs came on, did their job, and they just show exactly what the Mariners are about.
T, I'm going to interrupt you here because Shadeene Evans' first goal since playing with Sydney FC back in round 1 of 2019. It was a pretty crafty midfielder putting that ball through for a great finish. Celebration looks very similar. Taya, you know a little bit about this, but T, you were her teammate.
Yes, I do remember. And when you said it was 5 years ago, I was thinking, hang on, was I there for that goal? But yeah,
well,
similar
you
position.
were right there on the scene.
I was. Yeah, I mean, that's Shafi. She's a real impact player and, you know, in those areas, very dangerous.
This is someone who has had elite moments throughout her career. I mean, at the weekend, it's a great pass and a great finish after following up. It just appears very rarely. And I think Husband, there was an NPL game in 2022. Shadeene Evans single-handedly knocked her Sydney Uni team out of finals. Husband went and put it in the memory bank and thinks, I can unlock this talent on a more regular basis.
Exactly, and she's got the ability to do that, and she just needs a coach to back her, and I think she's got that in Husband.
Can we have a look at where she started and finished this play? Because she was back near the halfway line, getting the ball turning, and what I loved about this is that she did do that. She turned and faced forward, tried to play forward, found the great pass. She runs there into the box to score.
Yeah, she initiated that play beautifully and continued that run and finished it off wonderfully.
There's something so natural about just the movement and the instincts as well. What we need to see is this on a more regular basis. I mean, there's a reason she played for the Young Matildas as well before even playing in the old W League, because they saw something and we just need to see it more often because it is so exciting.
We do, and she's come on and proven herself. So, you know, that's probably given her a ticket for a few more goes at that. And if she can continue to do that, happy days for the Mariners.
I'm sure she will not want to wait 5 more years for the next goal. Speaking of goals, Mariana Speckmeyer finally got on the score sheet, converting after a multitude of chances as Melbourne City took on the Wanderers, and their woes continue. This one down in Amy Park, finishing 2-0, but Mariana Speckmeyer finally converting.
Yeah, I think she actually said that after she scored it, because they peppered the Wanderers, and it was just a matter of time until Speckmeyer put one away. But yeah, plenty of chances.
Wanderers were so close to holding out until half-time and conceded in first half stoppage, or in the 44th minute, and then here in second half stoppage time. Bit of deja vu, which we will get to about this goal, but credit Alexia Apostolakis. Was taking corners, was taking free kicks, 18 years old and seemingly taking on a lot of responsibility.
And she scored 2 this season as a defender, young player, and against her former club. So she's, yeah, really reaping the rewards down in Melbourne.
Taya, you mentioned deja vu for the Wanderers. Talk us through that, because this Apostolakis free kick looks very familiar.
It would have been so frustrating for Wanderers because the week before, they set the wall, it takes a massive deflection off the wall. Talia Yunus is the player who it hits in the head here here to deflect in. Now, Sham Karmas has done the work during the week, sets the wall. Talia Yunus, look at that. Don't turn around and jump. Talia Yunus does jump, but it hits the back of her head again or off her shoulder and flies in for another goal. T, it must be so disheartening to have prepared, but the same mistake 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, it just seems to be a bit of a habit that Yunus does, and a lot of players do so, and you can see Sham's not happy about it, and that's what you want in a goalkeeper, them leading and not being happy about it. You shouldn't be happy about that.
That was the goalkeeper coach after the game getting an earful there because, you know, the week's work went up in smoke.
Well, it's happened again and it's costing the Wanderers, so they need to do something about it.
Well, they need to do something about the score lines as well. 4 games, no goals now. There was Amy Cesari in the middle. It was a bit of a bright spark for the Wanderers.
I mean, they haven't scored for 4 straight games, which is already the longest streak in club history. They're now 1 game away from the longest streak in league history, tying that. But we picked out Cesari here, T. You were a midfielder yourself. We just wanted to look at some of the moments where she wins possession, but then what happens next? You know, she's a tenacious player, set herself for the duel with Laura Hughes, and they were both team-high duels in this game, battling against each other. But what happens after you do the hard work to win the ball? And she makes a goal-saving tackle here, which is a great effort, but it just seems as though Wanderers didn't actually have a plan to advance the ball up the pitch.
Yeah, and Cesari, as a former 6, she's a joy to watch for me. She's playing that role to a T this season, and winning the ball and setting things up. But going forward, there's not much going forward really for the Wanderers. You know, not
they're
many
playing
players.
safe.
They are. They look like they're low on confidence at the moment. And, you know, winning the ball, there's not many players making forward runs or showing that they really, really want the ball.
We talked about Shadeene Evans in the game before, getting the ball in the centre of the park, turning, trying to play forward, looking to always move forward, looking for those forward runs and then making the run into the box. I'm not seeing that.
Yeah,
from
it's a
the
stark
Wanderers.
difference, isn't it? And it's something that's really lacking in the Wanderers setup. And the further they get into this season without a goal, that confidence is just going to get lower and lower. So something's got to happen.
That first highlight there, where literally half the number of times they touched the ball in the opposing penalty area for the whole game. So 5 minutes in, they've affected the press once, touched the ball twice in the opposition penalty area, 2 more touches in the box for the rest of the game.
Yes,
so the territory battle was massively skewed.
So did they stop pressing, in your opinion? Are they not moving up the pitch enough?
They had a much better time of it in this game than they did against Brisbane Roar the week before, and that's because they went for a different front 3. They played Talia Yunus in the front 3, and they did press pretty high, but once they weren't able to sustain it, and again, they almost got to half-time without conceding, but unfortunately they just couldn't hold out, take something positive into the rooms, and then in the second half, you know, they fatigued and they dropped off.
We've brought up the front 3 for the last couple of weeks, and this lack of goals, as you mentioned, you know, 4 games, no goals now. We know Sophie Harding's up there, but the ball's just not finding her and the moments just aren't happening in the box. What are they missing from last year, this year? Is it someone to put that killer pass through?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's hard when year in, year out they're losing players to other clubs. And, you know, we're talking about Western Sydney here. This club should be battling for the championship every season. You know, so many players are produced in the West. So for me, the problem goes a bit deeper than just the team in that, you know, the club, I feel like, needs to do more for this team to keep players, to draw players in, to have players that can create more.
It's been many moons, T, since we've seen them in the top 4. What's the stark difference in your mind, having watched all of the seasons?
I mean, that was the one season they had targeted imports from overseas. This season, they said that, you know, the financial situation, how they're allocating their money within the salary cap, it was more economic sense for them to target already in Australia foreigners that were playing in the NPL rather than to look for a targeted import from overseas. But I mean, at both ends of the pitch, I think this is an issue because Vicky Bruce, I thought, was the single most important player for any given team last year, holding them together. To be fair, Wanderers didn't feel that way in the off-season. They were happy to let her go, felt as though they could have replaced her with the other players that they already had or brought in. And I think they're lacking leadership and a bit of direction on the field.
You've got Sham Karmas out there and she's having, you know, playing out of her skin, but she can only do so much.
But you would know this as someone who became a senior player over the course of your career. You could have a lot of young talents, and Wanderers do, and they've got a lot of players who I think have Matilda's potential.
They do, absolutely.
But they also need people setting the example for them and setting the standards, and I think the balance is off.
This
is only something you can fix in the off-season.
Well, you're losing core.
How do you fix it now with the squad you've got is the burning question.
Well, you just, got to get out back on the training paddock and work extra hard and try new things but all in all, when you compared it, Amy, to the Central Coast Mariners, they lack that intensity. And that's something you can easily fix.
It's worth remembering, Pennock and Nunn, the two targeted overseas signings for the Mariners, both 31 years old, are already two of the top 10 oldest players in the league. But
are leading by example.
Husband saw the need for senior heads due to the turnover in the off-season. So Wanderers turnover probably fewer players than the Mariners. Fewer new faces have come in. But they've got dramatically younger in the makeup of the team.
Well, Robbie Hooker was certainly quiet after this one. Someone who wasn't quiet was goal scorer Mariana Speckmeyer. Her post-match reaction.
After hitting the crossbar in the post, were you just stoked to see it hit the back of the net?
Yeah, I love Amy Park. But yeah, no, it was a little frustrating at first, but it was nice to finally get the ball into the net.
How important are 3 points tonight after a couple of draws on the trot?
Massive, and we're still undefeated, which is great, but yeah, these 3 points were big and a great confidence booster for the group.
And now time to check in on what's happening on socials with Narlene Masto, thanks to Ninja.
I'm Narlene Masto with what's cooking on socials and in the world of women's football. Brought to you by the Ninja Woodfire Outdoor Oven, which can turn any space into an outdoor kitchen. Powered by electricity, flavoured by real burning wood pellets. Cook, roast, bake, smoke, dehydrate. You can even make artisan pizzas in just 3 minutes. Well, let's get straight into what's cooking on socials this weekend, and starting off right here in the Ninja A-League as Melbourne City defender Taylor Otto picked up a bit of a nasty injury in a head clash with her teammate Carly Rossbacken in the game against Western Sydney Wanderers. Now, of course, it's not a pretty sight for any Melbourne City fan. We do hope she is okay and it's hopefully not a serious injury for her. Now, two Matilda stars have been in the headlines in Steph Catley and Ellie Carpenter, who've been nominated in the FIFA Best 11 for the Football Awards. Now, we know Catley, of course, captained Australia at the Olympics, even scored 2 goals. And as for Carpenter, well, she is the reigning 2024 AFC Asian International Women's Player of the Year. So we know what she's done for Lyon, of course, in the league and making it all the way to the Champions League final. So it's great to see those two in the headlines and on the international stage getting the recognition they deserve. Now, sticking on the topic of the Matildas, we know that the Matildas had 2 friendlies against Brazil, and while the results didn't go their way, there were plenty of positives to take away from it, one of which Natasha Pryor, who made her debut on the international stage. We also saw the likes of Michelle Heyman, Tamika Yallop and Sian Fryer in the mix as well. However, ahead of their next game against Chinese Taipei, there are some questions about their performances, given that they did struggle to match the physicality of Brazil. So my question for the Dub Zone panel is, what attributes do you want the next Tillies coach to have?
Yeah, so exciting times, and look, I think it's got to be someone that's proven themselves with senior national teams. Definitely, the calibre of the Matildas, they should be, I guess, going for trophies. That's something that's been a possibility for a long time and probably fallen short of that potential.
I am not so much worried about the resume as I want someone to come in and be their own person. Don't just take the word of it from the board or the staff and everyone you inherit. Don't just go and look at who plays at which club and what their cap count is. See for yourself. Come in, assess, certainly take recommendations, take people's thoughts on board, but don't simply be a facilitator of a set out plan that's there for you. I think one of the reasons we're waiting so long is because most coaches are themselves. They're not simply coming in as a consultant of the national team to run a management plan. They are the coach, and that's what I want. I want a coach.
Oh, I want some experience as well as that.
Well, there you have it, the wish list from TNT on the next Matildas coach. Let's take a look forward at what's coming up, because Western United is taking on Sydney FC. This one will have a little bit of fire in it, and we are lucky enough today to be joined by Grace Maher. Grace, great to have you with us. Talk us through, first of all, the goal against Newcastle Jets.
Yeah, I guess now that I play centre back, I don't often find myself quite high up on the field, so I don't actually know where we came from, but someone told me to turn. As soon as I see space, had to set up my first touch, and yeah, the moment I left my boot with that wind, I knew it was in.
It's a nice feeling, Gracie, when it comes off the boot, and something we've seen you do many times before. Anyone who's watched you will know that you're a lefty. Do you see the goal and just think, I'm going to have a go, or were you hearing it from your teammates?
I think it was a little bit of both. No, Chloe Lagazo would definitely say she was saying some words and shoot. But yeah, it was one of those things where, sometimes I look for the pass and then you realise the backline's dropping with the keeper knowing that she wasn't 6 foot and also having that backwind. Yeah, I just saw the corner of the goal and I just had to make sure I kept it under that bar. And yeah, like I said, once it came off my foot, I could feel there was some power behind it. So I was pretty confident it was going to hit the back of the net.
Grace, it's T here. It's a split round this week, so you've had the week off. What's prep been like? Anything new, anything different?
Yeah, it was nice. We obviously had the game up in Sydney and then we're back training on Monday. And we had a friendly match or internal match against the boys just on Saturday. So just still getting those minutes in the legs, an opportunity to get some squad rotation too. And then we had 2 days off with our first session back today. So now prep's all focused on Sydney.
Grace, the talk of us in the media for most of the first month of the season when it comes to Western has been about what's going on behind you in goal. Obviously, it was Chloe Lincoln's first game in the match against Newcastle and she made some great saves. What's it been like, though, on the training track? When you have a competitive situation like that and only one spot there to be won, how's it been inside the camp for Western United watching that change take place?
Yeah, obviously I've played with both Alyssa and Chloe and I credit to them. They're both extremely professional and we don't often see such competitive spots for number 1 and 2 in this league, so it's really nice to see they're both handling it with absolute class. And for me as a centre back, I've worked with both of them and I know that the person on the park is right and ready for the job, and we have full confidence in both of them, which I think is really beneficial when we have international windows, injuries, whatever you need. Yeah, that squad depth is great.
Well, speaking of international windows, what's the plan for Chloe Lagazo? If she plays a certain number of minutes or doesn't reach a certain number of minutes for the Matildas, is she straight in for the game against Sydney FC on Sunday?
Oh, you have to ask Chloe that one. I don't know. Obviously, there's too many unknowns to know for sure what's going to happen. But I know that Chloe will do everything she can to be on that pitch, both Chloe's, for us on Sunday. And yeah, we'll first and foremost, players' health and safety is paramount. So yeah, everything will be put in place, and yeah, we'll have to wait probably until the morning of the game to know for sure.
Hey, this is the first time that Sydney FC has actually gone to Tarneet, and it's only the second time they've ever gone to Melbourne to face Western United due to a few things that have happened in the past with Unite rounds and moved games and so forth. So how much are you looking forward to actually getting a chance to play them at your home ground, given that you've pretty much only played them in Sydney for the last couple of years?
Yeah, obviously I wasn't even there for the only game that they've played away against us. So, it was nice and fun to play our home game at Allianz Stadium in front of all their fans. But yeah, I think it's really exciting for us. We love Tarneet. It's the facility and the fields itself are world class. So, yeah, we're really looking forward to it. I'm sure they're going to enjoy a little bit of that smooth grass after what they've been playing on. So, yeah, we're just looking forward to it and can't wait for another big battle.
Well, Gracie, Maher, we wish you all the best of luck at home at Tarneet against Sydney FC on the weekend, and look forward to seeing more defenders driving forward and scoring the way that we know you can.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, so Sydney FC taking the trip down to Melbourne to take on Western United, that one playing at Tarneet, but you can catch it on 10 Play and Paramount Plus on Sunday with a kick-off at 5 p.m.
Teresa, is the most important selection for Sydney FC the bus driver? I mean, they got lost going to Casey Fields last year. First away trip to Tarneet. Does Antonio Rich pick the bus driver for this one?
For this one, won't he?
Or does Western United
Maybe he'll
someone and taken the wrong way? Anyway, can't be talking like that. Let's move on to the Wellington Phoenix taking on Brisbane, because Wellington make their way home since picking up their first win over Adelaide. How's this one going to play out?
It's exciting.
It is. Yeah.
Brisbane Roar are the team in the league
They
at the
are.
moment, and Wellington, hey, at least they finally broke through for a win. So it's almost a shame for them that great confidence, the big celebration with the corner of yellow. I mean, the fans from Wellington at Unite Round were great. There were the post-game photos with Paul Temple sitting on his throne in front of the entire supporter base and team, enjoying it. So how do they bottle this up and make sure it doesn't dissipate in the 2 weeks since?
Well, that's the trick, Teo, and it came at a good time because now they're back at home, and teams travelling to Wellington find it really hard to get a win over them there. So it's great timing, and hopefully they have bottled it up and took a lot of confidence from that well-deserved win. In Unite Round.
So Brisbane Roar, this will be a big test for them, especially after their great start to the season. Can they step up against the Phoenix at home?
Yeah, they're the informed team at the moment, Brisbane. So it will be a test that the travel to Wellington. But the way they've been playing, it looks like they'll turn up wherever they go.
We make out like the travel to Wellington is a really long way. It's only a couple of hours. In fact, across Australia it's probably longer.
I mean, the real issue for Brisbane is, again, a bit like Legazo at Western United. How many minutes will Tamiki Yallop and Sian Fryer have in the legs?
Yeah.
Not that they needed every player to look amazing so far this season. Fryer's missed games that they've won. Yallop has missed minutes where they've been excellent. So they have a balanced team. Their defence is in fantastic form, and their confidence couldn't be higher after the way they beat Wanderers in Unite Round. And again, they have had to bottle that up for 2 weeks, and now they want to take it on one of their longer road trips.
Well, the key is I think they've got buy-in from everyone, and everyone in that team knows their role. So whoever steps in will do the role. You might not say just as good as a Tamiki Yallop, but, the youngsters out there are getting there. And if she can play any part of any role, it'll be good for them as well.
Stylistically, this is perfect for the neutral because it's Paul Temple's small ball, quick passing football against Alex Smith and how he has overhauled this Brisbane Roar team. I mean, it's a great matchup in terms of style.
Big test from both teams.
Well, there are the details, that one on Sunday as well. Kick-off at 2 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Saving Time, and 4 p.m. if you're a local to Wellington. Can Brisbane keep up their good form, or can Wellington get a win at home as well this season? It'd be good for them, wouldn't it? All right, then we're off to Adelaide because Adelaide United's taking on the Newcastle Jets, and we're going to be joined by our second special guest of the day, Adelaide United US import Erin Healy. Great to have you with us. How are you? And how have you found the Ninja A-League Australia season so far?
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is great. I have really enjoyed my time so far. It's only been a few games, but it's kind of exactly what I was looking for, and I feel like we've been doing well, so I'm excited.
Well, Erin, you've had an impressive start yourself, and so has the team, and that's without some key senior players, and they're starting to return now. So what's the dynamic like with these key senior players coming back?
Yeah, I think we're fighting. Each player is ready to kind of give it their all. Even the senior players kind of coming back, they're putting everyone else on their feet and showing that every starting spot isn't given. We have to earn it and we have to fight for it. And they've just brought a huge sense of leadership and just, I guess, experience to our team that was lacking a little bit in the beginning of our preseason, and now it's coming back. So it's been great.
Erin, as an aspiring professional leaving college, you tried Portugal and you were in the top division there, scoring goals there. Was Australia always on the bucket list, or was it an agent or a coach that found you and sold the idea of Australia to you?
Yeah, Australia really never was on my list. I think I really wanted to explore Europe, and then I did for a little bit, and I was ready kind of for something a little bit more familiar to what I was used to back in college and in the US. And I think this kind of gave me that exact experience. And so, yeah, I guess I knew a player who's in the A-League right now, and she kind of persuaded me to come. So.
Who was that player?
That's Jordan Thompson.
Oh, well,
on Sydney.
Very successful. She had a great season last year and is having a good one this year. But I wanted to, Adrian Stenter, when he signed you in the off-season, said that he really admired your fighting spirit in a lower team in the league. You were scoring goals for a team that was battling down the bottom. How was that experience, and how has it shaped sort of your journey as a striker, but also as a creative player as well?
Yeah, I guess I just don't give up. I try my best regardless. And I think in the Portuguese league and in my team last year, I really had to step up and be a player that I don't think I was comfortable with, but I've developed into that. And I'm excited to kind of bring that experience over into this team and hopefully kind of lead the team in other ways. I haven't scored yet, but we're still scoring other goals. And so that's the goal, I guess, for all of us, is just to get anyone can score. So it's been great.
Well, you'll be hoping a lot of your players are on the score sheet this time around. Last time you played the Newcastle Jets, Erin, your side went down 8-0. You'll be hoping there's not a repeat of that performance, that's for sure.
No, let's hope not. I think it'll turn out good for us.
Well,
we're excited.
What's the impression you've got of Adelaide? Because they did finish last season. They went out with this 8-0 defeat in the worst possible way. So what was your assessment of the club you walked into? And then after pre-season and a month of games, how do you feel about the place now? And what is it that you're seeing and the potential within the group?
Yeah, I think walking in, I didn't really have any expectations. I kind of felt a sense of just we want to get revenge, and they wanted to turn the season around and kind of prove to the league that that last season was not normal, and we're ready to keep fighting. And I think from day one in preseason, I felt that everyone was ready to step up, and I think everyone has stepped up. And I think we have started off this season pretty well. I think we are keeping a positive outlook and just going to keep pushing.
What went wrong against Wellington, and what do you fix this weekend?
Yeah, I think it looked like, I guess, they just might have wanted it a little bit more. We weren't really finding that grit or that, our passion to play for a little bit. So I think we're just fighting this week. Is a lot of our trainings have just been 1v1s and fighting just to get that out of us. And hopefully we bring that to the game this weekend.
Looking to bring grit. Erin Healy, thank you so much for your time on Dub Zone, and good luck against the Jets this weekend at home.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great to have Erin with us. And there you have it, all the details for this split round 5. Of course, 4 games this weekend. On Sunday, this one as well, 5:30 kickoff. To round out the 4th game, Perth Glory, Melbourne Victory. This is going to be interesting with a few stars sidelined or potentially sidelined through Matilda's camp.
Yeah, this is a big game for both teams, given that Victory could, have a couple players out. But it's an important match for Glory. I think they need to start getting some points on the board.
It's a worry for their defence, T, especially if all those stars do line up for Victory.
And I'm fascinated to see how Casey Dumont goes against Melbourne Victory. We know that when she was at the Mariners last year, she had a bit of revenge with the penalty shootout that knocked the Victory out of finals.
She thrives on that though, Teo.
And she does thrive on that. Perth Glory at home, I mean, they beat Newcastle and they looked good in what was a pretty wild game. But one thing that I like about them is they can score goals. They came into this season with a lot of players that were either new or unproven in this league. And as we saw in pretty trying conditions in the game against Canberra, they took the lead. They were able, they probably felt a bit hard done by to leave with the draw in that game. So they've been competitive, and that's all we can ask of them.
Well, it was a great bounce back from a poor game against the Raw. So they'll take a lot of confidence from that, and it's probably a good time to play the Victory now.
It's an opportunity up front for Perth as well. Attacking a side that potentially has changes to the starting lineup. Is this the time where they can get the breakthrough?
Absolutely. I think that's why it is a good timing for them. But, given the break as well, I think, they can get back on the training pitch with a lot of confidence as well, and they'll probably work on a few things and take that into the game as well.
I would hope that some of the Victory players that this panel was talking about last week on Dub Zone, Alex Chidiak's in Matilda's camp, but Rachel Lowe in particular can really, I think she scored a double in Perth last time Melbourne Victory went there, so she knows how to handle that road trip and has performed in the West. So I wonder if we see that again.
Perhaps a couple of great youngsters off the bench as well that we've mentioned.
Yep, throw some in there off the bench as well. Well, that one coming your way also this weekend on Sunday. It's a later kickoff, 8 p.m. or 5 p.m. local time because of the time difference across to Perth. Of course, a bit of a trip over there too for the Victory as well. Will that play into this?
Well, yeah, to an extent during daylight savings, but isn't it exciting to see the Sam Kerr Football Centre as the home ground?
First match there.
Yep, so Perth fans get out, really make a statement, christen that new venue with a great crowd, because how exciting that a stadium named after a current Matilda and one of the biggest stars we've ever produced in this country now gets to see the venue make its opening bow in the Ninja A-League. And
also someone who, is obviously born out of the dub as well, which makes it even more special. Well, there is the Ninja A-League women's ladder for you. Of course, with the split round, 2 games last weekend, 4 games this weekend. 4 teams have already played 5 games, and we can see that represented there on the ladder with Melbourne City and Central Coast right up there. Brisbane Roar, of course, has the chance to go back on top with their matchup this weekend. Western Sydney still languishing down the bottom, and we'll be hoping to pull out some sort of miracle over the weekend. But yes, plenty more games to come. 4 games for you this weekend. That's all we've got time for here on the Dub Zone. A big thank you to Teresa Polias and Pellizzeri for their insight and analytics as always, and enjoy your footballing weekend.